Guys, welcome back on my channel. Today I have another unboxing and product review for you guys. And we're going to look at two Motorola license-free PMR radios. And I have the Motorola TLKR T41 in the green alien edition. I think this is a kind of really funny design. I'm not sure what Motorola was thinking when they designed this package, but I think it's kind of interesting. I've never seen something like this before. So if you're working in the Motorola design department, that looks like some really budget-friendly, spaced-out walkie-talkies. Let's see what kind of results we're going to get. Maybe you have watched a few of my other reviews, and as you can see in the navigation below, first I'm going to do an unboxing. Like always, show you a little bit of the build quality, look at the battery size, charge these up. I already put the power back here to charge them up, and then we're going to go outside and do in part 2 and do the range test. And like I mentioned in my other videos, usually these license-free PMR radios, they don't come with a very high output power. They have a low output power, and therefore the range usually is somewhat small. So don't expect to get a lot of range, like several miles or kilometers, unless you really have a clear line of sight. But hey guys, let's get started with the unboxing. I show you the build quality, and then we go outside and do the range test. Because when I do the range test, I always have my set distance points, so I always go at the same points and thereby compare the quality of different radios. And yeah, obviously, shameless plug, I have also reviewed a bunch of other radios, also from different manufacturers, not only Motorola, so you're invited to check those out as well. And I'm also planning to do some programming tutorials for those, how you can program those with a USB cable, because that's at least for the Retrovis, that's a little bit special. Because it's like a little bit of a crazy hack, and someone asked me recently about it. But obviously you always want to comply with your local laws and regulations. With the Motorola, you can program them, but more to that in a second. So let's get rolling with the unboxing and then jump to the range test. Let's get started. So guys, let's just go ahead and quickly do the unboxing. And like you can see, this is really one thing I noticed. These radios, they really look surprisingly small. I mean, the other Motorola radios that I reviewed previously, they were more expensive, and maybe I can show this to you here again. They are bigger. And if we jump back to those, I can also put like a Retrovis right next to it. Maybe it doesn't look that much right here, but I really feel the Retrovis have a bigger size, and the Motorolas I reviewed previously also had a much bigger size. So if you get a very affordable Motorolas, keep in mind they're kind of somewhat tiny. And yeah, let's just take these out. Not much to say about this. What's below here? Okay, you see we have the manuals, and maybe I can find the correct one for English. And yeah, you see the belt clips are down here. And here we have the menu. And this is also one thing that is different with most of the Motorola radios that I saw. The way the navigation on the front panel is handled, it's like it's different than the Retrovis. Like if you take a Retrovis, you just turn it on, 6, and then you just turn these dials and you change the channel or the volume. 5, 4, 3. So there really is not much to it. There is a push to talk and the volume control and the channel control. And then if you want to change something on the Retrovis, you can use this microphone input. There's like a USB adapter cable, and then you hook it up to your computer, and you can, with the programming cable, just program these radios. If you want to make any deeper settings like different channels, output volume, and so on. Maybe I can show this to you in another upcoming video. I really want to show this to you. But let's not be distracted too much with these other radios. The point is, Motorola has bigger radios too, but those here, they are really, really small. And like I said, the way you control the menu on most of the Motorola radios is different. I saw some of the expensive Motorola models. They have a dial here, so just keep in mind what your preferences in controlling those. Also, these Motorola radios, they are PMR radios, so that's more of a European thing. If you're in the US, that would be, I think you call it GMRS or something like this. So just keep in mind that this can also vary depending on your geographic location. But just to show you how tiny those are, this is like about the size of a credit card. So it's a really compact little radio. So like if you want to buy something like this, for example, for yourself, you can easily fit this somewhere in your pocket. Or if you want to give it to your children to play with, that's also, for them it's good. If you're someone who has like a big hand, these might feel a little bit too tiny, what I think. So it might make sense to get a bigger one. Other than that, to my surprise, I also found, let's open the battery cover here real quick. You need 3 AAA batteries, and the batteries are not included. So you have to have your own batteries, whether it's rechargeable ones. Personally, I prefer the end loop. Sorry guys, I only have the AA. So I probably would have to get AAA batteries if I wanted to use something that's rechargeable. Basically, you have to put in your own batteries, and you cannot charge them inside the device because guess what? There is no charging port. So that's the downside of having a budget radio. You need your own batteries and it doesn't have a charging port. The last Motorola radios I reviewed, they were a little bit more pricey, but they came with a battery pack and it came with a charger. So keep that in mind. For testing purposes, what I'm simply going to do is I'm going to use some normal batteries, one-time use, and put them in there. And then we're gonna do the range test. Obviously, when you put them in, just pay attention to the polarity, but that should be pretty straightforward. So I'm just gonna put in the batteries and then we're gonna jump to the range test. So guys, I prepped these Motorola TLKR T41 walkie-talkies for the range test. And what I noticed when I turned these on, they can make really loud beep noisy tones. I think you call it Roger beep or some confirmation tone. So I checked in the menu how to switch this off, because let's say I transmit with this one radio and then I release the transmission, it always makes this tone. And I put it on the volume level 1. If I would pick a higher volume level, this tone would get really loud. So I really want to switch it off. And the manual says just turn them off. And then when they're turned off, you can just disable the Roger beep by holding this up button. So I'm going to do this real quick. And I'm doing this again with the other one. And now the Roger beep should be disabled, which we're going to test right now. And I'm transmitting and I'm releasing, and there's no Roger beep anymore, which is great, because now that this Roger beep has disappeared, I can change the volume to a higher level without walking around. Let's say you were outside somewhere and you always have constantly these notification tones. It's not my personal preference. So I'm happy that you can switch this off very easily. So let's go outside, do the range test, and see what performance we're going to get out of these budget entry-level radios.
Distance test Motorola T41. Test point number 1, about 420 feet. Test point number 2, about 790 feet. Test point number 2, about 790 feet of distance. Test point number 3, about 1,250 feet. About 1,250 feet of distance. Test point number 3. Test point number 4 of the Motorola T41, about 1,540 feet of distance. 1,540 feet of distance. Test point number 4 of the Motorola. Test point number 5, about 2,000 feet of distance. Test point number 5, approximately 2,000 feet of distance. I hope, guys, you can still hear me loud and clear with the Motorola budget entry-level radio. Test point number 5. Test point number 6, about 2,300 feet. Test point number 6, about 2,300 feet. Guys, it becomes really windy outside. Maybe I will see how this affects the sound. Test point number 6, about 2,300 feet. This concludes the test of the Motorola radios. Test point number 6.
Now guys, we jump to the last part, the summary and conclusion part. And as you have clearly seen, for near distances, so if it's really close, for in and around the house, these PMR 446 radios work really well. If you're in the United States or other countries, you might also want to check out the GMRS and FMRS, or however it's called. In some geographic locations, different standards might be available. They give you more output power. These PMR 446 radios only have, as I believe mandated by some European regulation, a low output power of 0.5 watts. And obviously with a low output power, you're only gonna get so much range, simply because the further you go away and the more obstacles are present, the more this limited output power will be eaten up by those obstacles, and thereby the signal quality will deteriorate. For example, my previous videos I shot during summertime, and the trees had lots of vegetation. Right now we have Christmas time, so there's no vegetation on the trees, so the signal has a more easier time to pass from the transmitter to the receiver. So while I always have the same distance points, depending on the season, you can get different results. And that's really, I mean, that really goes to show that in this case it says 4 kilometers, but let's say you have a 2-mile distance that these radios are mentioned on the package. Like if you're in the US, we have like a certain mileage that's listed on the packaging. That's really under ideal circumstances. I think when, for example, you stand on one top of the mountain and your friend stands on another top of the mountain, and you have a clear line of sight with no obstacles, obviously the signal will have an easy time traveling very far, as opposed to you're somewhere in an urban area or in the suburbs or something where there's a lot of trees, maybe in a forest. So open pastures and clear line of sight, lots of range, otherwise not so much. So if you're outside of Europe, check out these other alternatives, because I believe GMRS and stuff like this gives you a much higher output power, and therefore you should also get a bigger range, because higher output power, you can punch through those obstacles. So guys, this concludes the review. I hope you had fun watching this. And if you're in the US and you have devices that have a high output power, you're now going to appreciate it much more, because Europeans are stuck with this low output power, which is kind of sad. But hey, then you can become a ham radio operator and get the better radios too, like the Baofangs and such. Guys, I see you as a subscriber on my channel, and in the next video, don't forget, I have a bunch of other videos as well, and I'm also going to make very soon programming tutorials for the radios that I have laying around that you can program to increase the output power. Let's say you were in a different country or you have different laws and regulations in your country, then you can just buy one of these other types that you can, with the software, unlock the higher output power. So this concludes this video. I see you in the next one. All the best to you. Take care. And because you watched the product review of the Motorola PMR radios, you might also be interested in those very nice Retevis ones that I also tested recently. And yeah, it's really surprising how many people are subscribing to my channel because of the useful tutorials and product reviews that I have here. You can subscribe right now as well, and I see you as a subscriber and in the next video, and maybe even in one of my online courses. Until then, take care.